Hey guys, welcome back. So today I want to go through a couple things on the Common Misconception Volume 1 that was posted on Chia.net. But before I do that, I want to give a huge shout out to Magic Beans. He actually donated XCHs to my account. I have my wallet address in the description below. What a generous guy. He actually reached out to me, emailed me and said, hey, how come I can't donate my XCHs to you? Can you provide a wallet? And I was like, hey, that's a great idea. I've never thought of that. It helps support me. It helps me, keeps me motivated to put out more content like this, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. But today I am going to go through the misconception because we've been doing it wrong all this time. We were expecting a Lambo, but what we should have been expecting is a Tesla Roadster. So stay with me on this one. All right guys, I'm going to try and go through this list pretty fast. So they're basically saying here, does a sufficient large pool can conduct a 51% attack? So basically they're saying here, the misconception is no, they cannot, because even though these pools are like H-Pool, for instance, owns a huge stake in the community on the network space, but they're saying because of the technology and how Chia is designed, it cannot do that because it's competing with other farmers who actually has to agree to all this rogue action for the 51%. Not saying that it's not possible, it still can be possible. They're reassuring you that it's highly unlikely, but I don't know, I'm on the fence on this one, so we'll keep this one on check. The pre-farm means Chia can do a RugPoll at some point. Here they're saying that Bram, if he wanted to do that, he could have walked away with millions or even billions, not having to invest any of this time into the project itself, which is true. But at the same time, it's not guaranteeing you that it cannot happen. It's just telling you that he won't do it out of good faith, a possibility that it can still happen. I'm just saying, Bram has put commitment into building out this project, and it's a lot bigger than what he, it's a huge project that he wants to make it larger than himself, meaning, he has this whole history of being like the creator of BitTorrent. A RugPoll from him is highly unlikely because of the way he wants this company to grow and prosper. So that's pretty much the reassurance that they're giving us, that this RugPoll thing will not happen, which is fine. Okay, so we'll leave it at that. She is designed to kill NVMe drives. That's very debatable, but what they're saying here is that if you're going to use these tools, and if you're using the wrong tools for the wrong job, obviously it's going to fail on you. And that's pretty much what they're saying, is that these consumer grade NVMe SSDs, if you're trying to do plots in these record time, speed plotting or whatever, then obviously these consumer level drives are not going to last as long. So that's pretty much why you will see a lot of articles about NVMEs and SSDs failing, or they're blaming it on Chia. Understandable. They did mention that, you can plot to regular hard drives, which I've been doing, and it takes about 10 hours, which I'm fine with, because the days of me plotting like 5 hours or 4 hours are long gone. I don't need to do it that fast anymore. At least I don't feel like I need to do it that fast. Maybe when the pools come out, I'll do it a little quicker. I'll utilize some of it, but I'm not going to do like 100% all on the NVMEs. Maybe not, but that's all. Obviously, if you're going to start using NVMEs and SSDs to plot, then you're running that risk on your own, right? Because that's not what it was intended for. You want it as green, and you still have an energy footprint, consumer grade NVMEs. It's true, because the only way to be really green is if you turn everything off and just not do anything. But what they're saying is the consumption level of energy is a lot lower than if you were to farm, or, well, not farm, if you were to mine other cryptocurrencies. So the footprint is a lot smaller, and that's basically what they're saying. And the example here, they use Visa and MasterCard, for example, run extremely large data centers full of storage. So do banks, and so does stock market, and so do all these exchanges that, do daily trades. There's constantly all these different machines. I can't say for a fact that everyone's on fossil fuel, or maybe some of them are using renewable energy. Obviously that's very debatable, because I don't know how you differentiate what part of the United States. For one, I don't know my energy, how that's working. Is it fossil fuel or is it renewable energy? I have no idea. Next thing is K33 versus K32 plots. They're reassuring you here that there is no difference besides the fact that K33s are just larger. I have read articles on Reddit that people are saying K33s have a higher chance of winning a block. I don't know how that's possible, but I'm glad this is reassuring me that that's not the case, because they were talking about people applying to K33s have a higher chance, and I'm sitting here applying K32s. I'm like, shoot, that means I'm losing out. So basically what they're doing is manipulating these K33 K3s and K32s when they're plotting it to kind of just squeeze in more into a drive, where it says here like, you know, 101 gigs unused per drive if you Tetris things right. I guess it's just to kind of make sure you have a lesser percentage of storage wasted. And then filled up at least more, right? Chia plots check. I've done this myself. I've went over and I've done plots, and I've seen duplicate plots show up, and I haven't seen any bad plots, but then at least all the plots have been validated and said that it's good for harvesting. Now, I've seen other people comment and saying that, oh, I should run Chia plot check on all my plots every single day or more often. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's just a health check. If it checks it once and it verifies that everything is good, then it's good. I don't think it gets corrupt. I don't think it has, you know, through time or anything like that, it will go bad. It doesn't change. These plots are just, it becomes static afterwards. So I think running plot checks is good. Here they're just saying that, you know, I guess the misconception is that this checks does not mean that they are worse or better against other real challenges. It's just merely a tool to detect plots that are either usable or not. So that's pretty much what that is. That's the misconception. My node is synced, but my wallet is showing 0. Now, I had the opposite happen to me about this. My wallet still shows 1 XCH where it's not synced yet. But I know for a fact that XCH has already been moved. So obviously, if you have a full node that's not in sync with the network and your wallet's not synced yet, it's going to show these discrepancies between the network space, the wallet, how much, you know, XCHs you have, and the network space. So obviously you have to let it all sync up into the network for it to realize that, oh, this XCH has already been transferred, current network space is now this. So obviously any time when it's not in sync and you see it not in sync with anything yet, then obviously the information is going to be skewed. I don't know where the misconception is. Maybe you guys can explain that one to me. Let's go down further. Report net space by Chia can't be trusted. Okay, I read this and they're saying because of the volume and the speed and all these different transactions going on with the network space, is that there's always going to be some percentage that's off, and there's going to be some discrepancies. There's never going to be a time where all these different locations or even on the network space is going to be accurate to that extent where it's on the dot, because it's always fluctuating. Just like if you do stock market, if you go on exchanges where buying stocks or whatever, different platforms have different prices. It's the same stock. They're all pulling, usually they're pulling from the same information, but there's some discrepancies because of the volume and the speed that it's doing it by. So you have to take that in consideration. So it's not like the misconception is that the network space is not trusted. It's just, you know, there's a lot of moving parts. Okay. Chia farming and holding are dominant by one country. I understand what they're saying here, where the world population in Asia is a lot bigger than North America, which is facts, right? And nothing to do with Chia. Let's just put it in perspective of if you have China, Korea, Thailand, Vietnam, India, that's all Asia. You're comparing all of that to North America, which is the United States. In comparison, size-wise, that is a lot bigger than where we are in North America. So obviously, if even a lower percentage of people who get into Chia there may even equal or dominate the amount of people that's in North America farming or plotting Chia. So you have to take that in consideration. And here they're saying that 60% of world population is in Asia. So that's a huge population. And then you got 10% in Europe and 5%, only 5% in North America. So that's where people get the idea like, oh, you know, China is that big. But no, China is made up, it's just not China in Asia. There's India, there's all these other countries. So you have to take that in consideration. So every time when people say, oh, you know, it's China, they're, you know, Bitcoin mining, how do we know, like, you know, Thailand, Vietnam, and all these other countries that on the other side of the Eastern Hemisphere, they could have their own Bitcoin mining farm or Chia farming? Okay, I'll leave that one at that. And then Lambo when is the wrong thing. They're saying you should be expecting. Now they're saying it's not when Lambo, it's Tesla Roadster. So maybe here they're just saying it as a joke, but you shouldn't even say that, because now people have the misconception of, now I'm expecting the Tesla Roadster. You know, that's all on you. This is not I don't think this is a guarantee, but the way they made it sound like, hey, you're expecting Lambo, but you really should be expecting a Tesla Roadster. Me personally, I would still go for the Lambo, but that's just me. Okay, is Bram okay? Now this one I'm not going to get too much into. So he's on the spectrum. He has certain qualities that are different from other people, including myself, and that probably reflects the way he responds and communicates to different people on how, because of this, whatever he's going through. So I'll leave that at that. As long as you can read this section and you understand that there's something a little different with every individual, then you will probably understand when he answers and talks and speaks to people a certain way, then you probably have a better grasp of what he's going through, and then now you could understand that as well. So I'm not even getting into that. Chia is a bad clone of Burst. Pretty much is saying that it's not, because Burst has it almost spins off to a different type of technology than Chia, so it has no relation. So the misconception that, oh, Chia is the same as Burst because Burst uses hard drives, but on this last line where they say GPU proof of work to one's Burst storage, so there's a little difference there because Chia doesn't do that. So I guess that's the misconception that people have, that Chia is similar to Burst, but it's not. Chia is all whales and only profitable for whales. Whales are going to take all the rewards. I agree and disagree to this last paragraph as well, because some whales may just have the hardware, because you know how they keep saying, like, if you had the extra space and you could just farm at home, and you had an extra terabyte or 5 terabytes or 10 terabytes, that's not to say whales who have these small data centers or mid-sized data centers doing other jobs for whatever projects, they have this extra storage that possibly that they will just use, because it's not like they went out to buy this data center or fill up this data center to farm Chia. Those are possibilities, because then they automatically become a whale because they just have all this extra hardware lying around. It could be a recycling place that takes in all these old servers and hard drives. All of a sudden they have all this, they can utilize these old equipment now, right? That's a whale. Then that's a whale in the making, at least. I don't agree totally where competing against a farmer who has next to zero cost. I mean, we all have a cost. There's next to zero cost. That's very unlikely, because even if you're a gamer, you're putting money into your rig. I don't think a lot of those gamers will have X terabytes of storage sitting around. Most of us, I know, probably went out and bought an extra 6 terabyte or 8 terabyte. That's just facts, right? Because you don't have that laying around. And if you did, I don't understand why you would have it in the first place. Small whales, mid whales in the making, they probably fell into all this hardware themselves too, and they didn't have to put any money into it. So you have to think about it that way. It's not necessarily that they had to put money to get all this equipment. So I look at it both ways when I do that, because I know of people who get equipment and they don't have to pay anything for it, and they have all this extra storage and they could go all out with it. So that's my take on this whole misconception list. I found this really interesting. It was a good read. I will definitely link it in the description, but you can find it on the chia.net network. Again, I want to make a huge shout out to Magic Beans for donating that XCH to me, and of course, if you want to do the same, you can do it too, because my wallet address is right in the description below. Thank you guys for being here, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.